Hey everyone, I am Daniel. This is DTV. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about how to PCS to Germany on a commercial flight. So I am in a new military spouse's home who just got here. She's gonna tell us a little bit about their experience, all right? So let's check that out.
My name is Megan Van Zyok, and we PCS here from Cincinnati back in December.
Okay.
Yep.
You just got here.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we were supposed to start out PE, Patriot Express, and about a third of the way through the trip, it transitioned to over to commercial because we missed our flight. Not due to us.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna start from the beginning.
Yes, the beginning. So there's two main options to PCS to Germany, the Rotator or a commercial flight. Check your orders. It may specify that you must travel on the Rotator and prohibit you from flying commercial, but there are exceptions, like missing your flight. Not recommended. The biggest exception is non-availability on the Patriot Express. The Patriot Express has a limited number of slots for humans and pets and only flies from Baltimore to Ramstein Air Force Base on certain days. So if you have more than 2 pets, they're definitely flying commercial. Whether you want to fly with them or not is up to you. More on pets and baggage in a little bit though. You can also fly commercial through an ETP, exception to policy, or Form 4187. It better be a good reason though, like financial hardship for pets or excessive travel time. If it's cheaper and more efficient for the Army to fly commercial, then you probably got a good case. Commercial flights can be booked through SATO, which is a U.S. government and military travel agency, or from the military member themselves via a government travel card. Okay, let's move on.
So we were gonna fly from Pittsburgh to Baltimore, and then Baltimore was when it was PE to Germany. Yeah, so because we went and saw family for the holidays, and he took like a month off, so we went back to West Virginia, which is where he's from. And then the closest airport was Pittsburgh. So we get to Pittsburgh because we got like our itinerary and everything from travel. So we get to Pittsburgh, we try to check in, they're like, your tickets haven't been paid for. And we're like, So my anxiety just started to go through the roof already, because like, it's emotional for everybody. Like, it's stressful for like me and him, more for him than it is for me. So I walk away from the ticket counter because I was just like, this is just not off to a good start. This is just bad juju. Like, I have to walk away. It's just me and my husband at this point. It's just me and my husband because our kids stayed with their other parent for the holidays because it was their turn for the holidays. And then our dogs, we have 2 corgis, and our female one literally had just had puppies like the day before we flew out. So they weren't going to be with us either. Long story short, traveled and buy our tickets.
Awkward.
My husband tried to pay for it with the government credit card. It got declined. He had to call travel.
I swear there's money.
He had to go through like another credit card before it got approved. So by the time everything was all said and done, we had an hour to get to the gate, which is like the cutoff for domestic flights. We were in a rush to say bye to like family. It was like emotional. We went to see the kids for a little bit. We get through security, we get to the gate, we get on the plane, everything's fine. We get to Baltimore, which is where Patriot Express flies out of. So mind you, I started watching like YouTube videos on like how the whole Patriot Express flight worked like about a month and a half before.
Good idea.
Just so I get an idea of how this all works. And one of the things I saw in all the videos was there was a line. So we get to the area and there's nobody. So there was maybe like a family and like a group of like soldiers over here. So in my head, I was like, oh, we're really, really, really early. So we get there and there's nobody like at the ticket counter area. There's no line. And I was like, no, we're either here early or you missed our flight. Yeah. So one of the liaisons came up and was like, hey, can I help you? My husband was like, yeah, we're here for the flight for Ramstein. This guy got this like awkward look on his face and he's like, yeah, that flight left yesterday. So we're stranded in Baltimore. My husband's report date is like in 36 hours. Awesome. We don't know what to do because it's like 5 o'clock in the evening. We try calling Fort Knox, like the travel area there at Fort Knox, and no one's picking up the phone. We call the emergency line and the nice way of like, sucks to suck, you gotta wait it out till tomorrow. Oh, by the way, there's not another Patriot Express flight for 5 days. Because it was like a Sunday, it was like Tuesday. Obviously it's way past when my husband's supposed to be there. So he's trying to get a hold of like his sponsor, like let him know the situation. Mind you, it's like a 6-hour time difference. So he just went to bed. So we go to the USO. Unfortunately, they really couldn't help us out besides like, we can give you a hotel and a rental. So we figured there's no point to like stress it out because there's literally nothing we can do at this point. So we go to the hotel, we like try to sleep it off. The next day, my husband calls and they're all like, yeah, we're gonna try to get you on the next Patriot Express flight. It's like Sunday. My husband's like, my report date is like tomorrow. So they try to get us on Patriot Express flight. Obviously, it's just completely full. So they stick us on a commercial one. They're like, hey, your flight leaves at 6, but it's out of Washington, D.C. So we had to drive an hour to get to DC, and then they're kind of like, oh, your flight doesn't leave till like 7. It's like 1 o'clock when we get there. So we're like, oh, cool, we'll go check out DC. So that was one good thing about it. So we saw Delta, and then we saw KLM, and we're like, what the hell is KLM? KLM, Dutch Raw Airlines, but we didn't know. We're like, what the hell is KLM? So we get to the airport, and we go to the Delta area. There's like no line, no people. Mind you, we're passing KLM, and there's a line. A lot, and we're just like, oh no, we got Delta, we're good. So we go to check in Delta, and the lady was like, yeah, you have to go to KLM. We get up to the front, and my husband shows them the orders because we have excess baggage, because we were gonna be in quarantine for 2 weeks when we got here. So I wanted to make sure we were gonna be fine for that 2 weeks that we were cooped up in our house. So I know the weight limit is 50 pounds. Our bags were coming in at about 80 pounds. And I wanna say you're not allowed no more than 2 bags. If you go over 2 bags, you have to pay for whatever you have left over. It doesn't matter if it's underweight, what have you. If it's not a carry-on, they're gonna count it. Okay. Yeah.
How far
so I wanna say it was back in October. Like the beginning of October was when we started the whole Patriot Express thing, like getting like our tickets for all that, because they had called us about space for the dogs, and we were gonna put the dogs on, and then 2 days later we found out my dog's pregnant. Okay. Yeah. So it was back in October, about 2 months out.
Okay.
Yeah. The commercial flight, Travel bought it for us like literally 12 hours before the flight. The only person he pretty much had any contact with on this side was his sponsor. So he got a hold of his sponsor. His sponsor told like his first sergeant, like everybody that he needed to tell, because we literally didn't get in till like the morning of the 11th. So I literally brought all of my winter clothes because I was trying to figure out the average temperature of what it here is in the winter, and it's like 25s, like the warmest it got. So I made sure to pack every article of winter clothing that I possibly had, every jacket, like anything that would keep me warm, because the couple times I left the house during our quarantine, because I think we were allowed like an hour or 2 a day, I was dressed up like a hobo because it's super cold. I brought like books, puzzles, like my laptop, DVDs, because we were allowed 1,500 pounds for unaccompanied baggage, and it was gonna get here. It was supposed to get here before us. It got here 2 weeks after us. I made sure to have as much stuff to keep me entertained, because when you're cooped up for 2 weeks, it gets to you after a couple of days. Even like with the time difference and trying to get adjusted to like a new sleep schedule, you can only sleep so much. You can only sleep so much.
Right.
Yeah. No, I don't think I brought enough. Yeah, at least for me, I don't think I brought enough. Because, yeah, I thought I overpacked. I didn't. I mean, clothes I did. I brought too much clothes, but like stuff to keep me entertained. No.
Okay.
No.
What did you actually spend money on? Like
Our hotel room, our rental car, got food there at the airport. The Wi-Fi, I think I paid $30 to use Wi-Fi for the entire flight, because it's about, I think, like an 8 or 9 hour flight. Yeah, a little bit of money there in Amsterdam, which that's when I found out I had to pay to use the restroom in Amsterdam, and I had to use a credit card. Outside of that, that was it. The government paid for everything else. So we get on, they kind of upgraded us a little bit. They gave us the equivalent of like Delta Comfort Plus was pretty much what the equivalent was. So we don't know if like they did it because of the orders, or like if the travel had anything to do with that. Probably not, but we don't know how it happened. We just like got there. The seats were like more spacious, like we have more leg room. I know due to COVID, if you're like in the middle section, like if you're together, they won't send anybody else there. So they had my husband and I in the center. So we had like 2 seats pretty much to ourselves. And then we had like all the free like wine and like alcohol that we wanted. And then when we could like lean the seats back, and then there was like that little like recliner like part that came out. So I mean, that was kind of a plus too. So no, because we just missed that boat of like, you have to get tested on both ends. Like we only had to get tested stateside, not coming over here. We didn't have to get tested. We did it about 4 days out because we got the results back like literally the day before we flew out.
Okay.
Yes, on the front end. Yeah, we had to show it. So we flew into Amsterdam. We had like a 10-hour layover in Amsterdam, and then we flew into Nuremberg.
You didn't have to show
Yep.
it. You were good to go.
Yep. All we had to show was our passports. That was it. Yep. So we got into the airport there in Nuremberg. Like they didn't ask to see anything because the airport is insanely little. Like you get off the plane like on the tarmac, and then like you walk in, there's like baggage claim, and like you walk out, and that's pretty much it. Like it's super little. So I mean, for COVID stuff, like they didn't ask to see any papers, like no passport. It's like no nothing, literally. So our sponsor, one of his soldiers, there you go, came and picked us up from the airport.
Okay, so it wasn't your actual sponsor.
No.
It was one of his.
Soldiers, yes.
Got it.
Yeah.
Because you're eventually going to get your pets over here.
Yes.
And then you
Yes.
take them on commercial or.
So we were looking either at Delta Cargo or we were looking at like a pet courier service. So we might go with the pet courier service just because our dogs, they handle stress, but at the same time, like they've just gone through a lot. So like I want to make it as smooth as a transition for them as possible.
Okay.
My daughter, she flew over back in January. I had to go get her though because due to the embargo, because of COVID, minors cannot fly by themselves. I had to fly and I had to get COVID tested when I got back. They didn't want to COVID test her though because she's under 15. Honestly, no, like I didn't really run into any issues. COVID related, like when I got back to the States, they didn't ask for anything. When I got back here for the German side, they didn't ask for anything. It was just the military side asked for, I had to get COVID tested and then I had to get quarantined another 2 weeks. Yeah, you have to wear masks in the airport. You cannot take them off unless you're eating.
Okay.
And if you're eating, you have to be stationary.
Okay. Do you know the preparation?
I do know the preparation. I would recommend commercial just because it doesn't, I mean, like I said, I've seen YouTube videos and that, like I've seen a little bit of it. It doesn't seem as stressful, not as chaotic, because I know it, at least with Patriot Express, there's probably some sort of timeline, some kind of structure. But that bus ride, I've heard horror stories about that bus ride, and I'm glad at least coming in, we avoided that bus ride, because my neighbors have told me stories about the bus ride and Patriot Express, and I'm kind of like, I'm good. So my only advice is just prepare for the worst, because you never know, honestly, what could happen. Like you could have like the smoothest flight possible, or you could just have every possible thing hit you. Like my big thing is the Patriot Express has a Facebook page and they update their flight schedules like all the time. So that is one thing I wish we would have checked, because if we would have checked it, we might have been able to avoid half of this or all of this. Another thing was just call travel, because stuff could happen that the Facebook page doesn't update, but they know. So I don't know if we can actually look into that. I know travel can. Like I wish like someone would have emailed or called them and like, hey, you need to buy your tickets, just because that would have saved us an extra hour and so much stress. That's pretty much what I can recommend.
Big thanks to Megan for allowing me to interview her experience. If you're looking for more videos about PCS prep, travel, or local life as an American living in Germany, hit that subscribe button.